The longevity industry isn't failing because we don't understand longevity. It's failing because the most effective longevity interventions are not actually profitable. And it's a very sad time to be alive if you're actually interested in living a very long time and truly reversing aging. We have people that are selling things like over-glorified humidifiers that are marketed as the next best thing for longevity and performance enhancement. We have others who are selling these advanced blood tests which are based on countless associative and correlative markers which mean almost nothing despite what a Harvard study may claim in a certain population group, versus the old standard blood tests, which are much more effective if you actually know what to test for. We have other people selling scam products, such as stem cell supplements, which are claimed to increase your body's own stem cells and regenerative ability, which could help you heal from injuries, feel better, reverse aging, and so on. A broad marketing claim for longevity and healing and health overall. Yet these stem cell supplements work by pulling the stem cells out of your bone marrow into circulation rather than actually increasing the proliferation of the stem cells and restoring their youthfulness so that they can function better, which is what a true regenerative strategy actually is. But yet there's so many doctors and influencers who are pushing this stuff. And why is that? Well, follow the money and you'll see these companies are offering these other doctors and influencers substantial kickbacks if they will promote it, and as such you get those promoted. And as far as Big Pharma goes, and the mainstream media, which is in bed with Big Pharma actually pays the mainstream media to cover things which they are working on and they want marketed. They control basically everything in the Western world. And if you don't believe me, just look at how many people actually got a check, a substantial one, from Big Pharma who are working in government. So yes, they even control the government to an extent. Now, it's not that there are non-effective longevity interventions available. It's that the most effective ones were created decades ago, back in the Soviet days, and Big Pharma has no incentive for you to even know about them. In fact, it's in their best interest that they cover these things up and don't let anybody even know about them. And as such, they can remain hidden secrets, or gems, as I would say, just due to how effective they truly are, versus a lot of the more recent things which are being invented by Big Pharma. And, it's just a shame because you'll actually have mainstream media covering a lot of this garbage from Big Pharma, and they make it sound like it's some sort of a crazy breakthrough. How many times have you heard headlines for something such as cure for Alzheimer's disease or multiple sclerosis and all these other diseases? Or, you have all these companies who are working on longevity interventions, and some of them are like New Limit. There's Altos Labs, which is with Jeff Bezos. And there's several other companies, and a lot of these companies are actually working on very similar interventions, mostly based off of Yamanaka factors. And for those who do not know, Yamanaka factors are a set of 4 different genes which, when expressed together, can restore cells that are older back to pluripotency, so basically back to an embryonic state. That basically strips the cell of their identity and takes it way back to youth before that cell has actually had a certain lineage committed to it. And the problem with these types of strategies is, of course, they can be very dangerous once you start trying to apply them to a living organism. Not only were they shown to have high rates of oncogenesis, which is cancer development, when trying to be deployed, but even when stripping it down to the 3 genes, there are still countless problems in terms of the safety. But yet, all of these companies that are focusing on longevity today are basing their therapeutic strategies off of these factors, focusing on epigenetics, and they're getting billions of dollars in funding for this. Now, while epigenetics is important, I will not dispute that. It is very important, and in fact, as we have seen in studies, epigenetics is actually important for other therapies to even be effective. If you have a locked down genome that is DNA and genes within the DNA which are not able to be expressed because the chromatin around them is wrapped too tightly by the histone proteins, then what happens is that you take other therapies to try to get a certain result, but the genome is still locked down, so you don't get certain genes expressed that you need to get expressed in order for some of those therapies to work. So it absolutely makes sense to focus on things from an epigenetics perspective. However, that is just one single pillar of longevity. I mean, honestly, I have 12 pillars of longevity which I have identified. All of these are upstream factors, and epigenetics is important, but it's just one of them. Now, you also have tons of other longevity influencers, doctors, and so on, biohackers, who are focusing on all this downstream noise, I like to refer to it as. And I think the clearest way to explain this is imagine you have a river, and imagine that you have some people who are trying to get fresh water from the river. It's a spring river, okay? So they're collecting their water, but this water is contaminated. It has all sorts of bacteria in it for some reason, and they have to boil the water. They have to run it through a filter to purify the water. That's what a lot of these longevity influencers and biohackers and so on are doing. But they never ask the question, where is this bacteria coming from? Where are these impurities coming from? Why do I have to boil and filter my water? Why is all of this needed? Well, if you'd actually walk up the river, you may find that there was a deer which was shot by a hunter, and it happened to unfortunately meet its demise in the middle of the river. And so that is causing all of the problems downstream. So you could, in theory, walk up the stream, remove the deer, and collect your water from up above where the deer died, and also have nice clean water downstream very shortly, once the source of the contamination is removed. That is what I refer to as an upstream pillar. This is what you need to focus on if you're truly interested in reversing aging and focusing on living a very long and healthy life. You must go upstream and fix all of the major things which cause downstream consequences. You don't just focus on the downstream consequences with various supplements and stuff which are being pushed by pretty much everybody. You don't also try to just cover them up with Band-Aids, which is what Western medicine is primarily doing. Now, if you want to know what actually does address these upstream failures in the most effective way possible, that would be the Biological Recode System, which is powered by the Biological Recode Engine. It takes your blood work values, which recommended labs are provided, as well as other unique things about you, such as your age, your gender, your body weight, and some other specific information which you can fill out, and it gives you a completely unique program based on your own unique biology and exactly what you need at that exact moment. It delivers you all of the exact peptides, supplements, and potentially medications if you need them, as well as lifestyle interventions that you need to implement. And it tells you exact dosages, frequency, as well as gives you the direct buy links so that you have direct access to all the stuff you need. It even allows you to print out a PDF of your program or just save the PDF to your computer or your phone. And it is very fast and effective. And all you got to do is go to cuttingedgelongevity.com or just check the link in the description. This has been Brenden Henry, the founder of the Peptide Science Institute, the author of the most scientifically accurate and largest book ever written on peptides at 800 pages and containing 1,190 citations, and also the founder of Cutting Edge Longevity. Thank you for watching. Take care.